Today on Coder Conversations is Lee Rothschild, inventor and owner of over 160 patents. We have a very interesting show for you today. I'm your host, Kevin.
And I'm Brian.
You're now tuned in to Coder Conversations. Welcome to the show, Lee.
Big hello to my friends Kevin and Brian, and a big thank you for inviting me today. You're going to be with a crazy inventor. I hope you know that, right?
Thank you for
So we'll
coming
see how
on.
that goes.
We really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate the
Absolute
invite.
pleasure.
And I think as
you've
Kevin and
been
I
doing.
talked. Sorry, Kevin, you go. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying, you've been inventing for a very, very long time. But how did you get into inventing?
That's a great question, by the way. I don't know how. I have to think about that one, Kevin.
That's going to bring you
because,
back, right? It's going to bring you
yeah,
back a bit.
well, that's a different question than what was my first invention. That I can answer easily if you choose to ask me. But how did I get into inventing? It's that I really couldn't find any kind of job that I really liked. And as I walked around then, and as I still walk around now, things just pop into my head. I told someone, I figured it out a while ago. This maybe answers your question, Kevin, maybe it doesn't. I when I can't get something I want, I invent it. So basically, I'm living in a virtual world. Like I just patented, and actually we have a patent on it now. I just patented a new kind of sink that's really neat, and I'd love to have it. So whenever I looked at my primitive sink at my home or my office, I said, this stinks. I could do better than this. So I can't buy it. So I invented it in my little magical world here, and I patented it. And that's, someone has said to me, you've invented everything but the kitchen sink. Well, guess what now? I've invented kind of the kitchen sink. My inventions, yeah, they're very diverse. They go from sinks to computer servers to quadraphonic stereo to cardiac technology to just a wide range of things. As I said, I am the crazy inventor.
Now you mentioned what cardio was that cardiograph?
No, cardiac. I've been involved in medicine now.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in medicine?
Well, that is an interesting story. I hope it's interesting. Let's see if it's interesting. There's someone that you may know of that, I don't know if you've interviewed or not, but very famous, called Dean Kamen. Okay. And I had the pleasure of working with Intellectual Ventures, which is Bill Gates and Nathan Meyerwold's company. They hold a huge amount of patents, and Intellectual Ventures chose me to work with in terms of inventing. And also, we, from time to time, have purchased patents from Intellectual Ventures. And guess what? They've purchased a whole bunch of my patents in various technologies. Yeah, that have been commercialized. So one of the people that's involved in Intellectual Ventures peripherally, I don't know how much he's involved, but I believe peripherally, is Dean Kamen. Now, for the record, I've never met Dean Kamen, but I'm a huge admirer of his. You may know him from Segway. But before Segway, you may or may not know him for I believe it's kidney dialysis. If any of this is wrong, any of your followers, don't send me nasty letters because I'm disclaiming some of these facts, but I think it's kidney dialysis. How's that? So I was inventing and inventing and inventing, and I always thought, well, my background's in technology, but I know zero about medicine. Yet I'm inspired by the work that Dean Kamen did, kidney dialysis and some other things. So maybe if he could do it, I could do it. But I said, no, I really can't do it because he's probably got an MD. And I don't have an MD. I have an MBA. So I looked up his background, and this guy's a genius, by the way, so I'm not taking anything away, but he's got no background, no MD, right? I think he has maybe a college degree, but I'm not sure. In any case, brilliant guy, by the way, brilliant guy. So I said to myself, listen, if Kamen could do it, I could do it too. What the hell? So I started inventing. I have a drug patent that's been issued. I'm working now with the head of cardiology where I live, a senior cardiologist, and we've put together something that I think is going to be revolutionary in terms of predicting cardiac events. I'm working now on an autism patent. What I love most is knowing nothing.
I'm actually on the spectrum myself.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, then you and I will have to talk and see what you think of this new I'm not ready to disclose it yet because that one hasn't been filed, but it's about to be filed. About
Oh
to be filed.
wow.
But I think
Okay.
that's also going to be a breakthrough for people suffering from autism. What I feel like is if you don't know anything, you start with a clean slate. And you bring all these experts in the room who are 10 times more knowledgeable than me and more talented, but they know what they know, and their minds are not flexible enough to be as wacky as I am. And, from wackiness can come inventions. I love the quote from Albert Einstein, who's obviously, a huge hero to me. And Einstein said, if it's not absurd, don't be thinking about it. So paraphrasing his quote, if it's not absurd, don't be thinking about it. So when I come into an invention, A, I love the fact that I have a clean slate. B, I'm kind of a moron, so I like that credential, and I'm a moron and I don't know anything about it. And C, what I love the best is learning about the area. So I'll do my research and I'll say, well, how could I do this? How could I invent this? How could I solve this problem for autism? How could I solve this problem predicting cardiac events? And I get to work sometimes like with Eric Rosen, who's the head of cardiology. So I get to work with
Okay.
smart people. And then I just, take a shot. And I'm always amazed what comes out. And I'm even more amazed, Brian and Kevin, when people actually license the technology and pass. And so that's like, an honor.
Right.
It's pretty interesting that you mentioned kind of like education, or it's something that I researched heavily myself, and especially looking into Einstein. He wasn't necessarily the best school student, but he had a tremendous imagination. So I think, a lot of times school, maybe it predicts your ability to be a good employee, to do rote tasks, but to solve problems and to utilize creativity, I think that's more of the realms that you're in, and that's really what helps you
They
excel.
I don't know what they told my parents, but they told I don't want to hear it, but they told Einstein's parents, Albert is not too bright and he's probably going to have trouble coping in life. And at best, you can hope that he can, survive, but he's not really able to go through life, I mean, they were kind of inferring, I think, that maybe he should be institutionalized because he
Wow.
was, clearly on the spectrum, not of autism, but of just, low IQ, I guess, or not able to function with society. But I mean, here's a guy, which is interesting, that, yeah, of course he couldn't function. They were giving physics lectures and he was 1,000 times ahead of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when he
Right.
started talking about things, it was things that in a million years, I mean, this is a guy who blew up Newtonian physics or Newton's laws. I mean, how's that? How's that? Amazing,
Not
right?
bad. Yeah. Not
Not
not a
bad.
bad work.
Not bad.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of courage to go against pre-established norms. Have you had to kind of go against the grain with some of your discoveries?
Absolutely, because I mean that's the whole thing. Really, it 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 is a matter of not believing anything and saying that you can do something better, and there's got to be a way to do it better, and just not believing that there's any barriers in front of you. When I
Mm,
invent, I don't care what anyone says. I just want to do what I want to do and figure out a way, if that makes any sense,
yeah.
to do it. And I love that. And sometimes an idea will come in and it will germinate for like a year or two. Other
Wow.
times I'm so excited with an idea, I'll get it to the patent office within a week or two. I've had both kinds.
Crazy.
Things, yeah, keep kicking around in my mind. I just am working now on a whole new level of artificial intelligence, and I
Mm.
just put together a patent application for that I'm really, really, really excited about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, in terms of your inventions, are you moving now towards AI because AI is so prevalent in the market right now?
It's amazing. I think one of the great joys of my life, besides being an inventor, has been seeing the way technology has changed everything that we do. We were talking earlier, I think off the record, of having a TV set where you could watch free shows if you were lucky, and now streaming stuff is coming at you from every angle. So I've been able in my life, in my, years to see that transition. But I'll tell you, I agree with all these experts that are out there, like Elon and the people that are running ChatGPT and everyone else. And everyone. This is just a profound, a change in society that we really don't know. Anyone that tells you that they know where it's going to go, my advice to you as a technologist is don't believe them, because you can't know. You can't know. But I found it to be hugely helpful to me in inventing artificial intelligence. And there's very little that I'm doing in terms of the new inventions. I think I mentioned that I have like 40 new ones that are in the patent office, and
Yeah.
probably another 20 or 30 that I'm trying to bring out. There's very little that I'm doing now that doesn't involve AI. And I'm just so excited about it and so interested in it because it's just amazing. It's just
Yeah.
literally takes my breath away.
Well, one thing it does, in terms of the podcast, I think it's called Kev. It's called Opus Clips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll take, like the best 2 second segment or 20 second or what is it, 2 minute? Yeah. It'll take like a 2 minute segment for us to put on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And it somehow knows which sections of the audio is important. And that, to me, that blows my mind that it can narrow in, and then it does the words on the screen. You just see, okay, whatever I'm saying or the guest is saying, you're seeing all the words on the screen, and the AI does that too. So it's pretty remarkable.
It's amazing. I'm working on a new that's going to be patented soon, a new type of cardiac device. Again, I won't disclose it because it's not patented, but let me just say on this device, I really wanted to get into the electronics on it. And I'm not an electrical engineer, but I'm stupid enough to think that I could put my hand in any of this stuff based on the moron concept. So normally what I would do is, to give you an example, I'd call up one of our engineers, who we have on consultant basis, and I'd say, tell me what capacitor to use, because I need something that's like a microcapacitor here, and what should I use? Meaning that, because trust me, I don't know anything about capacitors, just enough to know that maybe I needed one. Now I go to AI, and it's like amazing. It's like, here's what you need to do, and here's the specifications, and here's where you can do it, and you need help putting it into a circuit. And it's like, oh my God, I have like the smartest guy in the world in my computer at my fingertips. And I'll tell you, what you may have not asked me, but I will volunteer, is this has greatly accelerated my inventive abilities. Because in terms of, to be an inventor, you need to have a lot of research, and you need to know you come up with a wacky idea like a sink, and you need to say, how can I do this? What can I put in? Can I put in this kind of spray, or so you can't just tell the patent office, that maybe they can figure it out. No, you need to figure it out. You need to detail it exactly. So now to do that research, where it used to be Google or something like that, or my engineering team, now it's just like, tell me about, what I can, and it's like amazing. It really is accelerated and will continue to accelerate my inventions. I'm very excited about it. And just aside from the fact that it can help me, I'm just impressed. I mean, to use that word, I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed.
So, like with all of your inventions, did they kind of fall under like a comprehensive vision you have had of the future, or was it more like just random ideas kind of popping into your head?
It's like you don't know whether you like Italian food, Chinese food, Thai food, or anything. I'm all over the place. As I said, I have no comprehensive anything, right? I'm just wild and crazy to be honest, from scanning QR codes to sinks to computer servers to
Would you say that you're kind of more abstract?
I totally invent what I'd like to own. I mean, I will say that. Or what frustrates me, if I'm driving in a car and, we just got a patent. I'll tell you one of my patents, which is interesting. I am so tired of people cutting me off as I'm driving. In Miami, I don't know where you guys are, but, well, you're Texas, Kevin was telling me. I don't know if it's as bad in Texas, but people are driving like maniacs here. Like, no respect. and they're cutting people off and they're racing. And there's been some serious accidents, as you know, around the country where people have died from this racing nonsense, including,
Right.
I guess, one of the athletes was charged in it recently, right? For killing someone. Anyway, so I decided I've had enough. Well, what can I do? I'm not a police officer. So I came up with the idea of a bad driving patent, where, and I'm happy to disclose this because it's now an issued patent, and the car will have all kinds of sensors on it to give you a high level idea of it. All kinds of sensors, and it will detect bad driving, around you, and it will try to get the license plate, and it will try to get an image if possible. And I provide the amount of electronics and technology to do that reasonably so. And it will know, of course, the location of the car and the speed and what it's doing wrong. And it will report it to a database, and it will also report it to a local authority. So, and the
Wow.
patent office issued that for me. And it's like, this is my revenge. This is my revenge patent on bad driving. But I'm so frustrated. That's all I could do.
Yeah. No, I'm up in New York, so driving anywhere here is kind of nuts, and especially if you go into Jersey, that's probably Jersey drivers are probably the worst drivers in the U.S.
I hate to be disrespectful and disagree, but I'll compare my Miami, Florida drivers to you. And by the way, I grew up in New Jersey,
Oh,
and New
you
York.
did? No
So I
way.
know, oh yeah,
So
I did.
Yeah, you know.
Homedale and Hazlitt, Raritan Township. That's where I grew up.
Nice. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I don't know about the Jersey drivers recently, but we do pretty well here in terms of bad driving. I think we could compete with you quite well, Brian, in terms of crappy driving. But this was my revenge, and it really is frustration. If I can't do something, I can live in my virtual world at least, and then listen, maybe I'll get lucky, and we'll go to a company, because we have a whole team for that too, and we'll get someone to put this bad driving patent into cars, and I think it could be useful to society. I love to come out with things that I think can help society too. I mean, I can honestly say I've never invented for money. Never. We made money, done really
Yeah.
well, but I've never invented for money. I invent for frustration and for things that I think would be fun to have, neat.
So would you say you're very passionate about your job? Like, do you feel
I
like
love
there's nothing else you could be doing besides what you're doing right now?
the thing I tell everyone is give me a yellow pad and some quiet space, and just let me take take a walk and just think, how do I do this? Can I do it? Would it be able to be patented? Is it a useful idea, or is it? And sometimes I go, wow, this is stupid. This is really stupid. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting this on paper. Forget it. And then other times, once in a while, I go, wow. Like this AI thing I told you about. All of a sudden it hit me, and I was thinking of something else, and it just came. And I said, this could be amazing. And I ran it by some of the people I work with in terms of the consultants that we use, and said, what do you think? Has this been done? And they said, no, not really. So I mean, that's kind of exciting to me. And then we'll see where it goes. But if things don't get commercialized, to some degree, I don't really care. I just want to get the stuff out there and let the market choose. Let the market choose. Let other people choose. But what I love is the process. It's, what do they say? It's the chase, not the, you go for the chase. I love the chase of creating it.
Yeah.
The end result is, when they're done and patented, my team tries to monetize them and usually does. I'm not as interested in that. The idea of taking a pad, as I said, and just sitting somewhere, and just creating like creating a world.
Yeah.
It's like a J.K. Rowling thing to me, where from nothing comes this fabulous, so deep too, right?
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
yeah.
I can't believe the genius of that brain producing. It is like unbelievable to me.
Yeah, what's really interesting about the brain to me is kind of like a receiver. Like you don't know where these ideas come from or why, but some people just have different geniuses in different areas. Like, did you always have this sort of inventive genius, or
Yeah, it
was it
started at
something you did to
11.
cultivate it?
11
Okay.
or 12, where I came up with an idea that I didn't patent, because who knew about patents when you're 11 or
Oh,
12,
yeah. What do you
right?
know? Yeah.
But it was an idea that I thought, this is neat. And I was always interested in electronics and technology and that kind of thing. And then I filed my first patent on quadraphonic stereo when I guess I came up with it at 17 and maybe filed it at 18. And I think it was issued when I was like 21. So yeah, it's been the theme of my life to be involved in technology. And even aside from my inventions, I love to see from a world of going back again to this, TV with 3 shows to now streaming to now no computers to the internet to unbelievable AI. It's been so wonderful for me to see, and for you guys too, I would assume, to see
Yeah.
this progression of technology. What's
Well,
also interesting yes, sorry.
you think back to, like, I forget the name of it. It was Apple, huge computer, huge screen, big floppy disks. I think it's called the B drive, huge floppy disk. Now, I don't know, something like 100 times, 1,000 times more complex is in your pocket, is on your iPhone. Like that. That's what blows my mind.
When Radio Shack had a computer, I'll tell you the story real quick. When Radio Shack came out with their computer, of course, I bought one. And then I saved my money and I bought the first hard drive. I decided to get a hard drive when they came out, I believe pewter. And like when you turned this thing on, it was a combination hard drive vacuum cleaner. It made so much noise. It wasn't quiet, okay? So this thing's making huge amounts of noise. And I'll never forget, I had a company then, believe it or not. And I said to my CTO, I said, I'm buying this hard drive. It's 100 megabytes. I think it was 100 megabytes. And he said, oh, wow. He said, you'll never need more storage than that. This is going to take care of you. Now you take these SD cards and you stick them in your camera. And what is it? It's like you can buy one if you want to spend money for a terabyte, but certainly you can buy one cheaply for like 32 gigabytes, right?
Yeah.
So to me, to watch that happen has been kind of like the joy of my life. It really has, to just see technology progressing. And then for me to be involved in it and to work with some, great people along the way, it's been a real honor. It's been a
Right.
real
So
honor.
you're a part of it. You're part of this
I like that. And anything I can
whole
create,
thing.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I just love creating, and I love seeing the paths. But I'll tell you one thing that's interesting to me, and maybe you guys will
Right.
agree. I didn't see AI. I saw AI coming, but not to this degree and not
Oh
as
no,
fast.
no,
Not at
no
Yeah,
all.
way.
not
I
this
mean,
fast.
AI. If you load up 2 chatbots, I don't know which ones. Maybe ChatGPT, maybe Claude. They can talk to each other. These artificial things can
Unbelievable.
actually talk to each other. When I saw that video, I was like, that's scary. Like that's, they have all these thoughts and ideas, just, specifically to that phone or to that chatbot. It's very strange, very wild, but like you're saying, it's a joy. It's a joy to see all of this technology
It,
roll itself out over the years.
See, here's a prediction which could be controversial. Tell me what you think on a totally connected, but maybe not so connected subject. I believe that everyone talks about now, the big question is there life on other planets, intelligent life? I happen to think, as some of the astronomy experts think and the cosmologists think, that there is. The universe is so vast, there has to
Yeah.
be, in my opinion. But here's my thought. If there is, I can tell you it's silicon. If you see someone coming in from, they're talking about now this probe that they saw that's an interstellar probe that you see on the internet all the time. Who knows what that is or what it isn't. The Harvard Avi Loeb is saying that it could be, from another, right? He's a Harvard cosmologist. It could be from another, another solar system.
Three
Right?
Eye Atlas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Free Eye Atlas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there is anything in there, it's not the little guys that are going to walk and shake your hand. I believe that if there's life on another in another planet, in another solar system, in another galaxy. It's clearly silicon or some kind of technology. You know, that's where we're heading. If you look at Ray Kurzweil in terms of what he thinks too, which I agree with, that we're merging into from humans, from biological to silicon to digital. I believe that's the case. I mean, it's just so powerful. You can see it now, the precursor to it, when you look at AI.
Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie Blade Runner?
A long time ago. There's been a new
Okay.
Blade Runner too. I didn't see the
Oh
new
yeah,
one,
they
but I believe I
remade it.
saw
It
the old
wasn't as
one.
good, but yeah, no, I love the original. But it's
Harrison
kind of
Ford, right? Harrison Ford.
I think so. It just you're talking about this stuff, and it reminds me of that. Humans merging with androids, and androids, not knowing that they're an android, and just like wild stuff like that.
Well, Elon is talking about now, he's got a whole company to implant digital, devices, correct me if I'm wrong, Neuralink into brains. I mean,
Yeah.
so, it doesn't take a genius to figure out where we're heading in that way, where you have some kind of, you want to be super smart, or you have some kind of deficiency, or, or anything else. It really is. Kurzweil calls it the singularity, where,
Right.
where right, it just takes over. So, in my lifetime, perhaps in yours, but in my lifetime, I don't think I'll get to see that. But I see that that's where I think that it's heading. And I really do feel that if there is, I do believe that there is probably life in another, there has to be in another, in another galaxy, in another place. But I can't imagine that it would be biological. And it's certainly not to figure it out. Like for what is it called? Free Atlas, you said, Kevin?
Yeah, 3-Eye Atlas.
Well, they
Yeah.
said that I heard yesterday that could have been traveling for what you may know more than me, what, 100 million years or something, or 50 million. Well,
Wow.
no, biological can't survive, probably, as far as we know it, 50 million or 100. Maybe it can, but I don't think so. But of course, silicon can survive a billion years, right?
So you believe there's a possibility of an artificial intelligence that's already kind of escaped from this home planet and is headed here, possibly.
Well, we're sending stuff. The Venus probe is now gone beyond interstellar space, and it's far out there, and there's no humans or biological in that. It's just all technology. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just interesting, very very interesting. But AI is just and what's interesting to me, and I want to play a little bit of a part in it. As I said, I have some new AI patents. What's
Right.
interesting to me is what we're now seeing, as you probably know, is we're seeing AI is powered by the power of computer processing. Okay, so there's a direct correlation between how much processing power that you'll have, and they've made such an amazing. When I was younger, long before you guys were born, they would put 6 transistors on a 6 transistor radio. My dad bought me a 6 transistor radio, and that was expensive, by the way, and that was a big deal. That might have been
Yeah.
$100 or $200 purchase that dad gave me. Okay, 6
Now,
transistors.
what year? What year are we talking here?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, so that's 64 years ago. I'm 73 now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
64 years ago. So what year math? 1960 or something, right?
Yeah. Right.
1961. Okay. So and that was a big deal, and I was thrilled, and I wish I still had that, but I don't. I don't know where that went, the radio. But now I was just hearing a report. They're able to put on, what is it? Again, if I'm wrong, I disclaim my ignorance, but it may be like 50 billion or 100 billion transistors in a chip the size of your fingernail. I mean, think about that. I mean, that's just so absolutely amazing. It just blows your mind. So what
Yeah.
I was getting to is that's computer processing power. But what we're seeing now, there's another revolution that's heading our way. And that is not digital processing, but we're now looking at atomic processing with qubits and the atomic powered computers. And they say, which blows me away, that the processing power will be 1 million, 10 million, 100 million times more powerful than what we have. So think of that, and you probably can, because I can. I don't think anyone can. What does that
Yeah.
mean to
Right.
AI? Right?
Yeah.
What does that mean to AI? So then you come into maybe the singularity, which Kurzweil's talking about
Yeah.
and others are talking about. So I love thinking about this stuff, as you can see, and just seeing where it's going to take us. And, most of it I can't predict, but it's just nice to be there and watching. It's nice to be part of the show.
So I think
Yeah, I
it's
mean, Kurzweil, I definitely agree with the singularity stuff. I think other people call it AGI, artificial general intelligence. What is he saying? That's going to come out in like 2035? Do you remember the singularity
Right.
date? Something like that.
Well, he also made his famous statement. He said, if you can live another, I think he said this about 10 or 15 years ago when he originally published. He said, if you can live another 20 years, you can probably live an additional 200. Interesting,
Wow.
huh? Yeah, if you can get to, maybe the year 2040, maybe then at that point, with the power of all these, advanced computers and now the atomic computing and the advances, I think we're going to see, tell me what you guys think, amazing situations, amazing developments, amazing progress in medicine, which is why I'm interested in that area now, Just tremendous. I think we're at a very, just like they said in the Star Trek days, we're in one of the episodes, we're in a very, very, very primitive, space now, the way we're treating people.
so I think it's inevitable that AI eventually becomes way more intelligent than us. So how do you think it's going to interact with us? Like, is it still going to serve us, or is it going to impose its will on us?
Well, you just asked probably, in my opinion, the biggest question in technology right now.
Yeah,
That's probably the question. And
the
you're
big
asking
question.
someone who's
Yeah.
clearly not smart enough to answer right now. How's that? I can't say. I don't know, but it's a wonderful thing to ponder. I don't know. When does the AI take on human elements? When does it? Thing is, right? When AI can actually start thinking. What do they call it? Sentient, I think, right? Isn't that
Sentience.
the sentience? Thank you. Yeah,
Sentience,
I don't know, but it's scary and it's fascinating and exciting. And guess what? It's also scary, as I just said, meaning scary twice. So yeah, I don't know. It's fantastic. I love talking about this because it's so exciting. It really is. I don't know. But I can tell you again, I do think what I said to you earlier, Kevin and Brian, is true. You take atomic computing, okay, qubits and the rest of it, and you multiply, and that's coming clearly. You multiply the
yeah,
power of those machines, a million, a 10 million, 100 million, and then you layer that onto AI, which is where it will be. What does it mean? I mean, that's where we'll be. And maybe from what I understand, in 15 or 20 years, AI, what do they say? You ain't seen nothing yet in terms of AI, right?
Yeah.
To quote a movie base, you
yeah,
ain't seen nothing yet. To
yeah.
me, I don't know what it's going to mean. Maybe when I think of something, for instance, a new invention, I'll have the patent and the invention sitting on the floor within 3 seconds. I don't know. Maybe it'll put me out of business as an inventor. Who needs Lee Rothschild? Who needs
That's right.
Elon Musk? Right?
Who needs Elon?
Who needs Elon? Right? I mean, I don't know. It's so interesting.
So just from what you've pondered, like what is your utopian vision? Like if this all works out, what does the future look like to you?
Well, I mean, this planet has its problems, if I can say that, obviously, with climate
Yeah,
problems and with
absolutely.
nuclear proliferation is scary. So, the big thing that all these people that are a lot brighter than me say is, if there's a civilization that comes into about this time phase, where we've split the atom and we've caused, we have these powerful weapons now, more powerful probably to come. Can that civilization survive, or does it destroy itself? So that's one question. But assuming that, that utopia is, however you define it, a few hundred years from now or whatever it is, I'd certainly like to see it. It's certainly going to be interesting. Does it help humanity or does it hurt humanity? I mean, do we see all these conflicts that we see around the globe now that have been going on long before you were born and certainly before I was born, you know? So, and so many
Well,
people
look
on
at the
this
Middle
planet.
East, right? Look at the
Yeah,
Middle East, the mess that's been. It's a holy war.
right.
So it
It's a
goes
holy war.
on and on and on because it's not based on business or money. It's based on God and belief and this is our land. So that's a huge mess over there.
I'm a huge admirer of Bill and Melinda, and had the opportunity to work, as I said, with Intellectual Ventures, which he was a huge contributor of. In fact, Intellectual Ventures, a lot of the work they've done now is with now it's called the Gates Foundation. It was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, if you remember. But I mean, you talk about the world now, so many kids don't have food. They're starving in different parts. They're dying of disease. One of the things that the Gates have said, which I'm a huge admirer of, as I said, is the philosophy that no child should be dying because of lack of resources. So they've done such
Yeah.
great work in that regard. So yeah, so I don't know what utopia. I'd like to think that Kevin, how would you define? So I can answer the question better. How would you define utopia?
I mean, I guess, really that's subjective because I think even if you have all your physical needs met, psychologically, like we have so much leisure, is that something that, life without a struggle even worth it sometimes? You know what I mean? Like, so it's hard to say what's really a utopia if there's no
You,
struggle, there's
you know what's
satisfaction.
interesting? If you're me and you say AI is helping you, which it really is, by the way, in terms of my profession, inventing, that's a wonderful thing. But if you work at some company and you're just been laid off, and you're not a wealthy person, you're not going to appreciate the fact that AI has taken your job. So I'm trying to
That's
make the
right.
point that technology cuts both
Yeah.
ways. We saw that with the Industrial Revolution, right? And now this is
Yeah.
a
I
new
think
revolution.
I think this is the start of a whole new revolution because, like you
Couldn't agree
said,
more.
AI is so powerful already. So powerful already. Like, what are we going to see in 10? Like Kurzweil's talking about the singularity. What are we going to see in 2035, 2045? 50 years from now, if me and Kev are still here, what is the world going to look like? What is the U.S. more importantly going to look like? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know about a utopia. I think that might be, way in the future.
I will tell you, I think that in a short period of time, defined as maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, the three of us could be having this podcast and interacting as we've just done the last few minutes, the last few whatever time we've taken, without us being here. How's that? And you wouldn't know that it's Kevin, and you wouldn't know that it's Brian, and you wouldn't know that it's Lee, and maybe Lee would be a little smarter or something. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but isn't that amazing? They're making movies now with Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra, or this new, you've read about it, this new young lady who's just absolutely gorgeous. That she's a movie star, but she doesn't exist.
Yeah,
But she doesn't
yeah,
exist. So, I mean, and you're going to see more of that. And you're going to see more of it. You're going to see Jimmy Cagney and, Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe dancing around in a new film. I predict that if they can get the right, you'll see that
Yeah.
in the next
Right.
few years. And Marilyn will look as good as Marilyn always did, if not better. And the same with, so how is that? I mean, it's just amazing. But are those real people or what they say? Or, I mean, the problem now with AI, and which is really a big problem, is you see President Trump or Joe Biden or, someone making a speech, and then you realize later it's not them. It's not what
yep,
Trump said. It's not what Biden said. It's not what, whoever said. So it's hard to tell now. We're at the point now, it's hard to tell reality from fiction. A real
yep,
problem. A real problem. And AI is going to make that. Let me tell you, as a technologist, I can tell you, I believe AI will
Yeah.
make that 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times more powerful. One of the things I'm thinking about
Yeah.
is authenticity now. I want to come up with a
yeah.
patent in regarding authenticity. It's on my
If you
list
could
of things
fix
to look at.
ghosting, if you can get rid of
Yeah,
ghosting, I'd be very happy.
yeah. It's
Like,
it's just amazing to think about the future. What I'd like to know, following Kevin's question, is with all this technology, am I allowed to ask you a question, Kevin?
yeah, yeah,
Here's
sure.
my question: in your opinion, will utopia ever exist? I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, for some people, because I think everything comes down to preference. So if the world is how if it aligns with your preference, and it's a utopia. But if it doesn't, like if we're moving into this technological age, people that love technology, it's a utopia to them. But those who want to be more connected to nature and more primitive source of living, it's not utopia for them. So
Right, and there's huge in this planet now. There's huge economic disparities. Can utopia solve that? Where some
Right.
child is dying for lack of food, where a billionaire's on his 700-foot yacht, right, cruising around.
And you got, like companies like Dunkin' Donuts and other places, at the end of the night, they throw everything out. They don't give
Right,
it to a
right.
homeless shelter. I mean, it's not the best food, donuts and bagels, but still, it's food and they throw it out, these companies.
But I will say this, and I've thought about this during my lifetime. If there is a utopia, sign me up because I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Trust me, ready to not see
All right.
wars and economic disparities and threats of nuclear holocaust and people in Gaza dying and people in Israel dying and people
yeah.
all over dying right from these conflicts. I'm ready for that, and I guess we all are, right? Everyone would
Yeah.
want that. So how technology will, I guess the question to focus on technology is, can technology achieve that? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it would come down to the morality of people because
Correct.
technology can increase efficiency. Like we technologically have the means to produce more food than ever, but so why are there people starving? It's just a distribution of those. I don't want to get into like redistribution of wealth, but it's kind of like we have the means to produce food to feed everybody, but something in the
Right.
system is not handling that for whatever reason, and I think it's a human problem.
It is. And as I said before, that woman that just lost her job or the man that just lost his job because
Yeah.
of AI, they're not going to be a big fan and they're not going to be worshiping AI. They're not going to be helped with AI as I am when I invent or you are, as you said, you have tools now in the podcast that you previously didn't have. So I guess it cuts as anything else. It just cuts in every direction. But I still think from a technology point of view, it's been the ride of my life, to be honest. And I
Yeah.
love watching it. I hope it helps everyone. But I love watching it. And as you were nice enough to say, I love participating in it. That's been, for me, very exciting. And that goes beyond money or anything else. I just love the creation process. I love the creation process.
So, like, what are you kind of in your vision of the future? Like, what are some of the devices that you're picturing in your mind that are really going to like help humanity? Well, if you could share it.
Well, I know AI is so important, so I was thrilled with this new concept I have, which I haven't filed yet, but I will soon, in terms of artificial intelligence. I like to make contributions in various areas if I can, and I'm dumb enough to think that sometimes I can, and sometimes it actually turns out that I can. So, like in medicine, I'm trying now in various ways, cardiac prediction and cardiac event prediction and things like that. Autism, as I said, and we have some drug things that I'm working on. So I like that in terms of making a contribution. In AI, I think there's huge contributions that all of us that are involved in technology can make. So, when I have an opportunity to look in that area, but you can't really enforce as an inventor, at least this inventor, me, you can't really force inventions. For me, it's been kind of seamless in that I get frustrated and I say, can I do it? And then I do it. Or just something just pops in and I go, wait a second, this could be interesting. Usually, as I said, a lot of what pops in turns out to be trash. So I throw it in the
Right.
garbage, right? But every once in a while, there's something that pops, and I get a lot of pops. I mean, I'm probably working on 2 or 3 patents now a month, believe it or not. So different in
What does
different
it
areas.
feel like? Let me just ask, what does it feel like when you come up in that moment? You're like, I've got it. I figured, X, Y, and Z out. Now I can turn this into a panel. How does that physically feel when you're doing that
Well,
process?
that's a good question, by the way. Thank you. The first step is usually I have to question myself and think, no, wait a second, this is probably trash. And then I usually, and then I usually try to piece it in my mind. Occasionally I'll do, at that point, occasionally I'll do, if I'm taking a walk or I'm somewhere, believe it or not, like in a movie theater or something, I'll take out my phone and see it validated, with some of the things that I want to know, believe it or not. But when I finally feel that, I don't know until usually a little further along that it is there, it's cogent. And then I feel really good, and even better when, you know, I'll tell you, I have a wow factor, if that's what you're asking. When finally the draft comes out, when I do it, usually the way I invent is I come up with the idea. I'm happy to tell everyone the way it happens. I come up with an idea, I thrash it around. Sometimes it's a years or two, sometimes it's like 20 minutes, and I want to get it directly because I feel it's enough there. So I write all this stuff down, and then I, very basically, it might be just a few paragraphs. And then and this is, by the way, it's interesting. Another hero I have is Edison, and this is kind of the way he did it too. I found out later, even after I was doing it. So okay, so and then I'll get back to it at some point. Usually depends quickly or not. I'll write a full disclosure when I'm ready, and that's a full disclosure of exactly what I want to be in the patent. I'll send it to my engineering group. They'll vet it into a patent application. These are patent professionals, obviously, because I'm not
Okay.
a patent attorney. I'll review that usually back and forth, and I'll say, no, I don't like this, or you got to put this in, or no, this is
Right.
absolutely not what I want.
Right.
So we'll do all that. And then the wow factor for me is at some point when I look at it and I go, oh, wow, this is pretty neat. I can't believe that this came from me. It probably did, because it's like it's coming from somewhere else. I'll look at the thing and I'll read it and I'll go, gee, that's really pretty neat. I don't believe that I did that. So
Well,
then then I'm happy. Then I'm happy.
it's
Then it's like,
funny.
who knows?
Yeah, it's funny because I think, in me coming up in terms of music and playing with different bands, the singer that I had for most of the time, I would say, he was just someone, he believed things differently than I believe things. Um, it was just, yeah, it was an interesting thing with him. Just kind of, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. We were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure
How it
where
pops
you were
in,
going
how
with.
it pops in, right? And the
Yeah, yeah,
creation
ideas popping
process.
Oh,
in.
yeah, okay, no, how the idea pops. So songwriting, he would write a song, and then he would say, "I don't know where that came from."
Right.
He's like, it arrived. It's here now, and he put a line in one of the songs, something about like, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it goes when it goes away. I think that was the lyric.
Right.
So it just made me think. Yeah, it made me think of him.
But the most amazing example I can think of that is not my own, and it inspires me. It's again back to J.K. Rowling, in the fact that she claims, and I have no reason to think it's not true, that it was. Now I've read the books, I've seen the movies, and the books. The thing about those books that impresses me the most is the granularity, the detail that you have in those books. Whether you like the books or not, and I happen to be a fan. Uh, um, I'm very impressed by the minute detail that she puts in. If you've seen those books, and yet she says that she was riding on a train. I think again, I'm disclaiming to your listeners if this is all BS. I'm sorry. This is the way I remember it. I think she said she was on a train, and it just all came there, all baked, fully baked. I mean, $7, fully baked. How amazing is that? So where does it come from? And I sometimes feel like that with inventions. I don't know where it comes from. It's all
Yeah.
there, and it just pops out. It's the same with a
Yeah.
John Lennon, isn't it? Or
Then it goes
or an
away.
Elton John, or any of
Yeah,
these other
right.
great, yeah, right?
Billy Joel. Yeah, like all these people,
Billy
they just
Joel,
have these
right?
ideas, and it's
Beethoven, Mozart, right?
Beethoven. All these people, they have these incredible ideas, and you ask them,
Right?
"Oh, how did you actually come up with this song?" And they'll say, "I have no idea. It was kind of like I was channeling it, or it was just coming through me, or I
Right.
saw it in one guy I knew, he would see stuff in his dreams, and then he would try to recreate it in real life.
Like, I have had maybe 10 patents that I dreamed about, and then I'd wake up and I'd make notations. And then I would
Wow.
try to see if I could become, some of them have actually become patents and inventions and inventions. So yeah, I've had dreams where of technology, where it comes from, who knows? And then I've said, I'm not letting this go. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll either dictate it or put a pad, or I'll remember that in the morning I have to immediately get it down so it doesn't disappear. So, I mean, it's just that process. And I'll tell you, you could take any student that you know and spend any amount of money that you have, and send them to the finest schools in the world, literary schools, and use AI or anything else. And the chances are zilch, in my opinion, that you wouldn't get a
Mm.
J.K. Rowling or an Elton John or a Beethoven or a Mozart or an Elon Musk, for that matter, right?
Yeah.
Or any of
Yeah.
these
Right.
other, great creative people.
Or Tesla. What do you think about Tesla? I've read a bit about him.
About Elon or about Tesla?
Oh,
Oh no,
Nikola Tesla.
about the man Tesla.
Oh, Tesla, the man, not the car,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the man.
Amazing.
not Elon. Yeah.
Amazing. A
What
challenge
do you
for,
think of his work?
he started to work for Edison, as you may remember. And yeah, and he was beyond brilliant. I'm a huge fan, right? Exactly. It's funny too, because when you mentioned Tesla, and no one remembers the inventor, they remember the car, right?
That's
Exactly.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, I mean, just an amazing. Their big fight was AC or DC, as you know, direct current or alternating current. And of course, Edison took the, tract of DC, and Tesla, Nikolai, is that the way I say it? Nikolai, I think
Oh,
Tesla.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, Nicholas Tesla. He took the tract of, and of course he won that battle. And not as
Yeah.
famous maybe as Edison. I don't know, maybe he is as famous as Edison, but yeah, there aren't too many Teslas that, come along. But I was just reading a book too about some of the greats in terms of atomic fusion, the Leo Szillards, who, I mean, really you could credit as
Wow.
the father of, of atomic fusion, or Heisenberg in Germany, who was working on
Yeah.
it,
Right.
or some of these other geniuses, how do you get an Einstein? How do you get an Einstein?
Where does that come
Right?
from? Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Where does that
You
come
know,
from?
his son, I think, became a physicist, but I think he had another child who ended up in a mental institution. I think so.
Wow.
So how do just where do these people like Musk or Jobs? I mean, Stephen Jobs or Wozniak, where do these people come from? Zuckerberg, they have vision. What's been phenomenal to me, I didn't say this before, but I'd like to, is that the other thing is, in my lifetime when I was young, I thought that the great businesses of the world would be those established businesses. And when I grew up, a big business was Wang or IBM
Yeah.
or some of these other companies, and that I was, when I was, 10 or 12 or 15, I thought that, the big companies would continue to be the foundations of industry. What I've learned since then, not at all. The big companies now were started by these brilliant entrepreneurs like the Zuckerbergs, like the Jobs and the Wozniaks, like
Yeah.
the Philos and the Yangs, like, you could just go on and on, like Michael Dell out of nowhere. And that's magic too, right? So I
Yeah.
have great respect for any of these.
You mentioned Steve Jobs. I mean, he was incredible. A lot of people don't know this, but he wasn't a programmer. He was the marketing guy. Steve
Right.
Wozniak
Right.
was the program. A lot of people don't know that. They think Steve Jobs made everything. No, he didn't. He was a good face. He was a great face for the company. He got it out there. He talked about it. He got people talking about it, which is really amazing. Marketing. We're talking about marketing here.
Genius in marketing.
Yeah.
And a genius in structure, meaning, in making sure that the thing really not only work but look beautiful. Everything was where it should be. I've read books about him. In my earlier days, I had the opportunity to meet him, and that was
Oh
a
wow.
real honor. Yeah, but I mean, just a genius, just a genius in so many ways. But what's amazing is, so here's IBM and here's Apple in terms of the home computer market. IBM's nowhere now. Not that they're not doing well in other things, but the market is, largest company in the world, depending on the day of the week. Nvidia,
And
or Apple,
Nvidia,
from
right?
nowhere, from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, Nvidia started off as a manufacturer of graphics cards for video
Right.
games,
Yeah, for video games. Yeah.
and I think video gaming is pretty much leading a lot of technology. Like it introduced a lot of AI, introduced just a lot of technology. It's like at the cutting edge of technology.
Cutting edge, cutting edge. So yeah, and some of the largest companies that now underlie the world's economy are started by these young entrepreneurs who
Yeah,
turn these companies into, mega Goliaths. So, which is amazing. I think the opportunity, I would say to all of your listeners, the opportunity still exists for the new, the new Philo, the new Yang, the new Jobs, the new Dow, to come along, the new Zuckerberg to come along and
Right.
create. I
Right.
think and with AI now, which is a whole new revolution, it even extends that opportunity, I think. So
yeah.
new players.
I think it all ties back to like your original point. Like when you grew up, you couldn't find a job, so you had to innovate into one,
Create one.
innovate your own
Created your own
opportunity.
job. Yeah.
And we're kind of at that time where it's hard to find a job. So this is a potential hotbed for innovation if people look at it in that way.
I would say to your listeners, don't let anyone tell you. I've said this to kids when I've lectured them. Don't let
Yeah.
anyone tell you you can't be done. That should be the siren song for that it can be done. And don't let anyone tell you, that if you have this genius idea that you have to work, no offense to Burger King or McDonald's, that you have to work for Burger King or McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, you can go out if you really have the drive and the
Yeah.
vision and a great idea. You can go out and create the next NVIDIA, right? And that's the
Yep.
beauty of, and it's interesting too. Now with technology and now with, the digitization of information, you can create the next NVIDIA or Apple, or anything else very quickly. We're seeing that now in so many areas. Look,
Right.
10 years ago or 15 years ago, cryptocurrency didn't exist. Look where we are now. It's a multi. It's probably $1 trillion business now,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Not billions,
Right.
but trillions. So, I mean, that's amazing too. So it just, we're living in a very interesting, I'm fortunate to be living with you guys in a very interesting time. Very
Yeah, I
interesting time.
guess my final question for you would be about autism, because I'm on the spectrum myself, not severe, but it's there. I'm just wondering what I don't know if you can speak to that, but I'd be curious to see your autism invention.
Well, how's this? Invite me back for another one eventually, whenever you guys feel it's appropriate. And at that point in time, if you give me a few months, I'll be happy to talk to you about the new autism invention that we have patented.
So it's in the
So
works.
it's in the works.
It's in the works.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
no
I think
problem.
I think it will be meaningful. And I think it will be impactful. So, and I'm proud to be
We could
involved in
definitely
that.
have you back on sometime. Absolutely.
Love to do that, Brian and Kevin. And you guys are great. I don't know about you, but I've had a ball. I've had a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
the hour flew by.
So
Flew
it's been
by.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we
It's
definitely
been
look forward
great.
to see what you come up with.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to seeing where technology, I'm sure you do too, where technology continues
Oh
to
yeah,
take us. It's an amazing
It's really
and
exciting.
amazing ride. And, I hope that, that we're all looking, to see, I know I am, what the next 10 or 15 or 20 years could bring. And the pace of acceleration now in this area is been algorithmic. It's just
yeah,
It's
amazing. And
like
AI is going to fuel that too.
what's the word? Exponential. They call it
Exponential.
an
hmm
exponential
yeah,
growth, AI.
Yeah, computers have played such a large role in medicine, and now you accelerate that power, so you see where medicine's going to go. Just to use one situation, or anything else from podcasting to
Or
all of it is just,
DNA,
yeah,
right? DNA.
DNA. It's all exponential, as you said. It's all algorithmic. It's all exponential. It's accelerating at a rapid pace. Just in
Yeah.
my own area, where it could take me, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks to do a patent application. I'm finding now with AI, I might be able to do the same thing in, 7 days. So, I
Wow.
mean,
Wow.
just amazing. And you're seeing that with everything. Circuitry, advanced circuitry now is more increasingly being developed by AI than it is by humans, or at least participating in circuit development. So as far
Wow.
as I understand, so it's just amazing. It's just a really interesting time to be around, and let's hope the world can keep going on so we
Let's
can
Yeah.
just
keep
yeah,
seeing,
let's just hope it keeps
right?
going.
Yeah.
Let's hope it keeps going. That would be a big
Yeah,
concern, big
for
factor.
sure.
Before we get out of here, did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts, and where can they find you at?
In terms of my email, you can email me at Leigh, Leigh, at
Okay.
Patent Management, PATENT, MGMT. So it's Leigh at patentmanagement.com. So, and anyone that sends me anything, I'd be happy to reply. So that's exciting. And any closing thoughts? Just that it was a great honor and pleasure to be with you guys. And I've never had an interview, I have to tell you, that I've enjoyed more. And
That's
that's
awesome.
true.
I mean, we try to be, I like
Uh,
jazz a lot. We try to be improvisational, a little
Now, if
little
I find,
avant-garde.
here's the closing thought. If I find out that you weren't real and that you were just AI, right?
That's
That's going
right.
to be neat too, right? Or if you find out I was AI, right?
That's right.
Right? If
Yeah.
you find out I was AI, I probably won't get invited back then, right? Or maybe I will.
Maybe you
Who
would.
knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I would, right? That's interesting too, right? So great pleasure to
No,
meet you, Kevin and
It
Brian,
was
and
definitely a
great.
pleasure.
Great
We'll
having you
definitely
on.
have you back soon.
Great having you on.
talk to you soon.
And we'd like to
Thank you.
thank everybody for tuning in.